All righty, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Jonathan Gonzalez Montelongo. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the Visitor Services and Events Coordinator in our Campus Tours and Visitor Center. I have just a couple of announcements at the top. So this is our first of 5 different financial aid sessions during our Coyotes Connect programming. And then there's also going to be additional next step sessions, all which can be found on our visit website. So I'll share that shortly in the chat. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. And I'm sure Veronica would do her best to answer as much as she can as the presentation goes, or if not afterwards for some Q&A. But just some housekeeping rules. If you can keep your mics muted, unless you have a question, you want to use the raise hand feature, we'll go ahead and pick you out. And then throughout the presentation, I'm sure Veronica would appreciate if you do have a camera on to turn on so she could see future Coyotes. But without further ado, I want to welcome Veronica Medina. She's our Financial Aid Wellness Coordinator in our Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. And she's here to present to you the 5 key components of financial literacy. So
thank you, Jonathan. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone's having a wonderful afternoon. So we're going to go ahead and go over the 5 key components of financial literacy. My name is Veronica Medina, and I represent the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. My title is Financial Aid Wellness Coordinator. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or our department, and we were there to assist you. So I'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. So this we'll go over what we'll learn today is you will be able to identify the 5 components of financial literacy. You'll understand each component. You'll utilize these key components in your daily life. So the first one is the basics of budgeting. As we all know, we all have issues with budgeting. Me, myself, personally, try to budget as much as we can and try to stay there closely. And it's hard. I'll be honest. It is hard, but it's doable. So what is a budget? This allows you to provide a particular amount of money in a budget. By creating and maintaining a budget, it is one of the most basic aspects of staying on top of your finances. In this modern day, it is easier to even create a budget with the help of different websites and apps. I love Excel, but there is different websites and apps that are available for you to actually do your budgeting. Like I said, I love working with Excel, and that's one of my favorite budgeting tools. I have a budgeting tool for my monthly bills and expenses with my husband, and it's something that you just get used to it and in the habit of doing. The pros, it doesn't matter if math isn't your strong suit. Thanks to these user-friendly tools, everyone can get the help with keeping their finances on track. When utilized properly, you'll keep you in the know about where your money is actually going. The cons about this would be following a budget is difficult to hold yourself accountable on where your money is coming from and what it's going towards. Mastering the basics of budget is where everyone should begin. This will also allow you to start saving, start seeing where you have your bad habits of spending. My bad habits when we were not working virtually were Starbucks. And obviously, not taking lunch, we would go out and buy food. That's where we would see our bad habits on our spending cycle when I would run my month end bank statements, and that's where I would see that I was spending money. These are just tools that you could use that will help you, assist you on staying on track. I'm not saying it's gonna be, oh wow, now I'm gonna be a strict person, I'm not gonna spend any money. No, we all know Starbucks gets us, fast food gets us, we can't go to movies right now. So none of those outside sources are getting us in trouble right now, and we see it. You see it a little bit more, like for example, me and my husband have seen it more because we're able to save. We're not leaving our house, we're working from home. We're able to go ahead and save on those movie runs, those outings for dinners. Even though more locations are opening now, we try to stay as much as we can in-house, and just try to do all our quarantining inside and just staying at home. This is a way that right now this is working for us on the budget side. The second part of it is understanding interest rates. So interest rate is a proration of amount loaned, which a lender charges as an interest to a borrower, normally expressed as an annual percentage. The rate a bank or other lenders charges you to borrow its money. So you might touch the concepts with mathematical courses. It's important to understand different aspects. Understanding the concept, not only can it help you save, but it can make a difference between borrowing a small amount and paying back much more than you need to for years to come. Understanding the ins and outs of interest can impact your finances more than likely you'll realize. It's an important concept to gain a better understand of early in life. So knowing that you can save an interest if you can pay off the loan sooner by just adding extra money to your payment amount can save you on the long run. So with this, I'm going to use a perfect example, a car loan. Some car loans, depending on your credit history, you'll have a lower interest rate, let's say a 4% interest rate, 2 to 4% interest rate, and you have a fixed monthly payment. Let's say your payment is, you have a $35,000 car and you're paying $500 a month. If you pay $200 extra on that to go into your principal, into that $35,000 loan, you're going to pay that car much faster versus if you just kept on your steady 5-year loan period of your monthly payment, $500 a month. You'll end up, if you probably pay $200, you'll probably end up cutting a couple of months of that 5-year contract. There is a way for you to understand. Make sure when you're taking out these loans and when you're borrowing, that you ask those questions if there is any penalty for you paying early on these loans. Most loans will not have an early penalty, just like your student loans. If you do borrow student loans, you could pay monthly payments while you're in school. You're not forced to do, since your subsidized loans are deferred until you're done with school. The only one that will accrue interest is your unsubsidized loan. However, if you choose to pay on those loans while you're in school, you're already knocking out a portion of that loan while no interest is being charged. You have to take advantage of those options when available to you, because that's going to be increasing the amount of loan that you pay at the long run. So let's say that $35,000 loan, you take it for 5 years, you're going to end up probably paying about $43,000 on that loan in that 5 year. Versus if you were to pay a little bit more every month, if you can do it, adding a little bit to that will probably decrease it to, instead of 45, let's say you pay 43. That's still $2,000 that are more in your pocket because you were able to pay a little bit more on that actual loan. So keeping that in mind, asking when you're borrowing the money, just like this one says, knowing also about the interest rate that you'll have, the annual percentage interest rate, will also let you know how much you need to borrow versus taking a small loan of, let's say, anywhere from $2,000 or taking a $5,000 loan. What is the difference if I take it out at 2 years? What would be my monthly payment? Is there a penalty for me paying this early? How much will I end up paying at the end of the 2-year period? So just knowing those different tricks will make you understand the interest rate and what you would end up paying for that loan that you're taking out. On our next slide here, we're going to go over prioritizing saving. So saving is an important aspect of maintaining a healthy financial situation, but the majority of students don't prioritize this aspect as much as they should. It is easy to ignore things like retirement since it seems so far off in the future. Learning to save early can help you gain the knowledge, practice and set the skills you'll utilize throughout your entire life. Beginners can start working on this concept in the simplest sense, like saving money for a higher ticket item they desire. Working toward a goal is key here. And students need to understand that there is a lot of value in paying yourself first. So just knowing how to actually save is beneficial. Having a peace of mind comes with practice, diligence, and patience, all qualities you'll develop when mastering your saving skill set. So it is important for you to understand that there is several ways for you to actually manage your saving skill set. It's not easy. It's not easy, but just starting easy, starting $20 a week. Let's say if you were to save $20 from every paycheck, you get paid weekly, put away $20, just taking baby steps in order to reach your ultimate goal, which at the end would be saving for your retirement. You guys are young, you guys are able to start. Right now is the best time so that you could enjoy your retirement with the financial stability. Having that financial stability is the most healthiest thing that you could ever think of. Just knowing that you'll be at peace, having that savings that you've had to probably struggle through your early age, going through college, but you'll be able to do it at your pace. You are early, you are young, you're able to start it now. Start small and then work your way up to where you could save a little bit more. Increase it if you could increase it per month, if you could increase it per year. Take baby steps, but do take advantage of saving skills that you're able to do. The fourth step is credit versus debt cycle traps. What does this mean? So it's much easier to lose credit than gain it. And many students don't realize how easy it is to ruin their credit and how difficult it can be to regain credit before it's too late. Credit can be an extremely useful tool if it's managed correctly. Making rash decisions when you're young can end up costing you throughout adulthood. So it's important to grasp the concept and tools behind responsible credit practice as early as possible. Your credit will define you in adulthood. Mistakes that you make early in life can definitely hinder you when looking to purchase your first car and or your first home. This is very true. I'm a strong believer that credit history, managing your credit score, the importance of credit, the importance of protecting your credit is very important to be taught since, if possible, middle school. This is very important. This is something that, yes, we are known by our names, our last names, combination of our social security number and our names. But when it comes to purchasing a car, purchasing a home, purchasing anything large that you need credit, we are known by our credit history. So whatever is on that credit history that you had, if you made the mistake when you were young and got used to just getting credit cards, because it is beautiful getting those credit card offers, especially if you start accepting student loans, you will start getting credit card offers very, very much likely on a monthly basis, if not yearly basis. But it is easy to apply for credit. However, like it says here, it is very hard to regain that credit. Please be conscious about this. Make smart decisions. Think twice before doing that. Look at the credit rate. Look at the interest rate that it is providing you, because those numbers are high. There is some credit cards that are out there for up to 25% interest rate. That is a very high interest rate. So it is important for you to understand these interest rates can affect you on the long run. If you charge your credit card highly and you make a minimum payment, it's going to take you forever to pay off that balance on that credit card because you're just paying the minimum payment. And some of these minimum payments, I've seen them as low as $23 on a credit card with an interest rate of 25%. You're basically just paying interest on these credit cards. So it is important for us to just take time and review those conditions that are being offered with these credit cards. On our next slide, we're going to identify the theft issues and safety. Currently, identity theft is more widespread than ever since everything is digital and just about everyone has shopped online at one point or another. Your financial information is more vulnerable to fraud. Understanding this concept along with preventative measures like password protection and limiting the amount of information shared online can be the key to maintaining safe accounts, or on the other hand, can lead to financial ruin. While it's not foolproof, people can be safe and things do still happen. It is important to safeguard your finances as best as possible to avoid these threats that exist. This can happen to anybody, no matter how cautious you are, how protective you are of your credit, of your information that is being used on the web. There is people out there that have this experience, that's what they do for a living. What I strongly suggest and recommend is I just use one credit card to purchase online. For both my husband and I, that's the one we use. And I know activities that are going on that credit card because it's the one I use, usually the one I have on my phone, the one that I use with Apple Pay and anything like that. So when I get a fishy shopping or fishy email, like not too long ago, I was getting an email from our bank, Chase, saying fraudulent activity has been found on your account. I hadn't purchased anything online because I don't use my debit cards online at all. Try not to use them at all. I do credit cards online. That's what I usually use. So I hadn't purchased anything with my debit card. When I got that email, it seemed fishy to me because I hadn't used my debit card. So I disregarded that email. I contact my bank, and it was not even, luckily I didn't click anything on that link on the email that had been sent, because it did provide me with a link for me to click on, and it would send me to where the fraud activity and everything was being done. I didn't click it. I contacted my bank, and it was not an email sent from them. So there is different ways that they will fool you and try to have you use this link, use this other link. That's why it is important for you to try and avoid using I'm always adamant about using debit cards online versus credit cards. I try to use credit cards more. I mean, anything that's vulnerable, all the information, but there is emails, you know which credit cards you use most of the time. So when you get fishy emails, some of these people are just fishing out for information. Try not clicking on links. Try to be a little bit more careful on your finances so that it can protect you. Like it says, nobody's free, nobody's safe with these issues. This could happen to any of us, but it's always important for us to know that our banks, our institutions are there to assist us. If you get an email from them stating you have suspicious activity, we've encountered some activity that doesn't seem usual in your account, contact them. Don't click on any links, contact them directly or go to your institution, because most likely these are hackers that are trying to get information from you. And by clicking on that, you're opening them to all this information. So with this, we conclude our presentation. It is the 5 concepts of financial aid. So here I provided you with my information. My name is Veronica Medina. Like I said, I am the financial aid coordinator. Here's my direct email, my office number. You could also go to our website should you need additional information regarding financial aid, and our financial aid resource as well. So we are here to help you. Any questions you have regarding financial aid or any other information, please reach out to us. We are here for you. We are available to you. Even though we're operating virtually, we are available Monday through Friday between 8 to 5. Those are our operating hours. If you do need to turn any documents to our department, the best resource to use right now is fax, since we do get everything electronically faxed to us, and it's able to process much faster. So should you need any documents to be turned into our office, please definitely reach into our office and send those via fax. That is going to be the best option for you to send and use. We will have other workshops available, and I will stop this present sharing, and we will go over the dates with Jonathan of additional presentations that we will be having. So I do see.
Right. So we have 3 additional workshops. We have Learn About a 50, 20, 30 budget plan. Let me pull this out and share it.
You want the dates? I got them here. So our next one is going to be understanding your, okay, there you go.
So we have Learn About a 50, 20, 30 budget plan on March 17th from 5 to 6. And then we have Understanding Your Credit Score on April 7th from 3 to 4. And then Understanding Your CSUSB financial aid package. We're going to have 2 of those sessions. They're going to be the exact same session. We're offering one on March 16th and one on April 6th, those timeframes. So I'll put this link again in the chat for you all to go ahead and sign up. And then I have a few questions in the chat for you, Veronica, that
Yes,
you want
perfect.
to answer. One of the first ones is where, let's see, I saw something else.
Scholarship application?
Why use, oh yeah, I would like to ask about the general scholarship application for CSUSB. Are international incoming students eligible to apply, and are they considered for scholarships?
They would be considered for non-need-based scholarships. You could definitely go into our website for scholarships. And on the left side of the scholarship each scholarship description, you'll see a detail on that. I will drop the link on the chat. Look at that information provided there. If it says it's a need-based loan scholarship, then international students, or some will specifically say international students are not eligible for this scholarship. Most of our donors do make them open to the whole student body population, and that shouldn't be a problem for you if you are an international student to apply for those on-campus scholarships. And I'm looking at the on-campus scholarships right now. So I will provide the website now at the chat and have it available for you to use. And if there is any additional questions regarding scholarships and the available scholarships, you could definitely reach out to us and we will go ahead and walk you through the process of that, since it is all done online now.
All right, and then we have another question. Why use credit to buy online instead of a debit card?
In my personal experience, I just don't want them to get information regarding to my debit accounts, my bank accounts, because the credit cards usually are with another lender. I don't have them directly with my banks. I have them through other banks, and they're not associated to any of my regular bank accounts, such as my checking or savings. So that's what I prefer, just that extra protection, just to be on the safe side. It's totally, there's nothing wrong with it. Viridiana, is just a personal option a personal preference that I have. It's just, I'm worried. Just like I said, I got a notification from Chase. I don't use, I have a Chase credit card and a Chase debit card, and I usually don't use either one online. And I got an email saying they had suspicious activity, and I hadn't used it. So it was just a little bit fishy. When I contacted my institution, they hadn't sent out that email. So it's just like I said, it's just a personal preference. It's nothing bad if you do use it. A lot of people do use it because that's what they want to manage themselves on the limit amount that they could actually spend. But I personally rather use my credit card versus my debit.
And then just rolling it back a little bit further than that, could you explain the difference between a credit card versus a debit card?
Yes, definitely. So keep in mind the credit card is based on credit, and you apply for this credit card. Usually they give you a credit limit of how much you could use, how much you have as a spending. So they give you an amount that you could use and an amount that you could take out on some credit cards as a cash advance. The debit card is whatever you have it linked to, either your checking or savings account. And usually the limit that you have on the debit card is whatever you have on either or account. So if you have a checking account, a debit card, and you try to use a debit card, but you know you only have 500, but you're trying to purchase something that's 600, you're gonna get a decline unless your bank does that auto draft, where they will go ahead and put that extra money and then charge you. Then again, you're gonna have an NSF fee and additional fees accumulated to that process. So it's always better to use what you know you have available. So the debit card will always allow you to use what you have available on your account only. Versus a credit card, you have a limit of how much you can use. Same thing applies to your credit card. If you have a limit of 2,000, you've already used 1,600, let's say, and what you're trying to purchase is 500, your credit card most likely will get declined because you only have a $400 credit limit available to use, since you've already used 1,600 of it.
Awesome. And then I think we answered the other questions in terms of the scholarships. We provided the link in the chat. And Viridiana, I don't know if you want to be a little bit more specific, but I'm assuming it's for scholarships. When do you have to turn in letters of recommendations?
Um, it's best to do it when you're doing your whole process on your application, and at the end, I'll actually ask you for a letter of recommendation. Your LOR, basically described as LOR for letter of recommendation. And Viridiana, on this, it's really easy because at this point, now you don't have to have anybody do it on a letterhead. You don't have to go out and get signatures. Everything you have to do is notify the person. We usually recommend you to use a professor or a teacher. Notify your professor, teacher, get the full name, their email address. You're gonna type it in the software that we use for scholarships, the application, and they'll automatically get an email from our vendor stating we have you registered as a person that's gonna be writing a letter of recommendation, and you're able to track that letter of recommendations once they complete it. The reason why I mentioned to notify the professor or teacher is because they're busy. Everybody's busy nowadays, especially with the virtual world. They most likely don't remember you by face, especially if you're not turning on your camera. And your name, all of the names at one point for us, trust me, with all the meetings that we do, same for teachers, faculties, and professors, they have so many students that all the names seem the same. So when you send them an email with a letter of recommendation, and I had an instructor actually, I just did a presentation for her class for Professor Leslie. She told their students, whenever you send me email for me to do a letter of recommendation, I'm gonna ask you kindly, not that I don't know who you are, I might have an interaction with you, I might know who you are, but if you could attach a picture of you to that email, that would be a great help to me, because a lot of that would bring me information of what that letter of recommendation I'm gonna be doing. So that's another good tip that professor actually provided, because she wants to know who she's writing this letter for. And she asked for a picture on that email, which I never thought of any, but that's a really cool information for her. She wants to make sure who she's writing this letter of recommendation for. And by just seeing the names, sometimes they all just seem the same. So you just write a letter of recommendation. But when you're doing your application process, it'll tell you on the steps right before you hit consent. It'll ask you for letter of recommendation. So before you submit your application is when you'll be asked to submit your letter of recommendation.
Awesome. And then some students wanted to know if you can put up your contact information once again.
Yes.
Some of them missed it. So if you can share that. And then I have another question. Is there a limit for how many scholarships a student can get through CSUSB?
There is no limit. So the limit is, and let me go over that. The limit is based on your cost of attendance. So the federal government regulates us in financial aid by giving us what's called the cost of attendance. So for example, I'm going to use just a general number. Let's say the cost of attendance, you're on campus. You live off campus because right now everything's virtually. You live off campus, and they give us an cost of attendance of $20,000. That's how much we could go ahead and package you for financial aid, up to $20,000, which is the cost of your attendance. What's taken in consideration for the cost of attendance is your fees, your tuition, transportation, your housing, your miscellaneous use, which is your personal and care, food, meals, books and supplies. That's taken in consideration to give us a number for the cost of attendance. So that's just the number that they give us. So now what happens is your FAFSA or your California Dream application comes in. Based on the financial information you provided on your FAFSA or your California Dream application, you now have what's called an EFC, an estimated family contribution. Based on that number that's given to us, we're gonna award you for, if you are eligible for Pell Grant. For Pell eligibility, for those of you that are eligible for Cal Grant eligibility, those that are not eligible for Cal Grant, if you're eligible for State University Grant and we have funding, we give you that. And if there's any institutional aid that you're also eligible for, we award you that. So once we award everything, let's say you got 5,000 in Pell Grant, you have Cal Grant eligibility of another 5,000, that's 10,000. Remember, your cost of attendance was 20,000. We just awarded you 10,000. Now we have an additional 10,000 remaining. We can award you up to $10,000 in scholarships if you apply and become awarded those scholarships. up to those $10,000 remaining, assuming you do not take out your student loans. If we do offer your student loans and you accept them, depending on what grade level you are, if you're a freshman, senior, if you're dependent, independent, you have a limit amount of how much you could borrow per academic year. That is also deducted from the amount that we could award you to meet that cost of attendance. So let's say you got 5,000 in Pell, you got 5,000 in Cal Grant, you got 5,000 in loans, we're at 15,000. Let's say you apply for scholarships. Now we could only award you up to an additional 5,000 in scholarship. But what happens is, remember, scholarships is free money. It's a need-based grant. Most of them are need-based. So that's free money. What's going to happen, let's say you were awarded, we're at 15, let's say you were awarded 6,000 in scholarships. Your student loan is money that you have to repay. So what we would do, we would reduce your student loan to only 4,000 and award you the $6,000 in scholarships. Because what we want ultimately is for you to take advantage of the most of the financial aid that you don't have to pay back versus what you have to repay back. Just like any loan, anything that's a loan, you will have to repay back. Anything that's a grant or scholarship is free money, money that you earn based on GPA or merits. So it is important that you keep that in mind.
Awesome. And then I have a question by Karina. What if I applied for College of the Desert scholarships that are given at COD, but will be done in May there? Can I still use scholarships if I get any from, I'm assuming from COD?
What was that? One more time?
So I'm assuming that they got scholarships at COD, and maybe if Karina's still in the room, maybe she could tell us.
Let's see, Karina.
But she applied for COD scholarships and will be done there in May. Would she still be able to use those scholarships if she got any?
So if you use so let me just to clear, you could only get financial aid for one institution at a time. So if you're currently enrolled in a school, once you're gonna leave them, the best tip that I will give you is notify the Office of Financial Aid at your current institution. Let them know as of this would be your last semester with them or your last quarter, with depending on what system they run, and you will be attending a new institution by fall 21. That way they don't touch your financial aid for the coming up school year. So remember, fall will be with the new academic year of 21-22, and I have seen a couple of questions regarding when to apply if you're coming on fall of 21. You should have already been completing or are close to completing your FAFSA for 21-22 academic year. The priority deadline is March 2nd. That does not mean that the FAFSA or California Dream closes. That just means that you have to have your FAFSA or California Dream submitted and cleared into the financial aid so that you could be potentially eligible for any grants, institutional aid, or state aid. These priority dates use that, especially also for scholarships. The deadline, March 2nd, is really strict. On Cal Grant, California Student Aid Commission uses that deadline. They expect your FAFSA to be completed on time in order for you to be eligible for that, because they will disqualify you if you did not complete your FAFSA on time. So if you are starting fall 21, please, you have about it's the 24th, for about 6 days to complete your FAFSA or California Dream application. If any of you are stuck and need a one-on-one, I am conducting one-on-one meetings daily. Please send me an email. My email, it has been dropped. I'll drop it again. Send me an email and I will schedule a one-on-one meeting with you so that we could go ahead and go finish your application, because you do need to meet the deadline of March 2nd. So it is important. So you could only get, so College of the Desert, you're getting financial aid, and you have out, if it's an outside scholarship that you could take to any other institution, you just need to notify that donor that gave you that scholarship that you will be attending a new institution, provide them the school name, and then also then they will just go ahead and get in contact with us to get that award sent over. If it's a scholarship that has been offered through the current College of the Desert, and it's only for their institution, you cannot roll that over, unfortunately, because it's only for their institution. So just double check if it's an outside donor that you could take to any institution. If it is, all you need to do is notify them of the new school that you will be attending, and if you want to notify us of the scholarship that you're getting, you could shoot us an email with that information. Make sure to put your Coyote ID and send it over to our office. I'm also going to drop down the federal school code in case you are doing your FAFSA and need to enter our school code. 001142 for your FAFSA. Instead of you searching our name, you just type in that number and it will populate Cal State San Bernardino.
Awesome. And then I believe I had another question. So school begins August 23rd of 2021. And then what if you haven't done your taxes yet for this year? In order to update your FAFSA, can they still fill it out? Great
question. So about a few years back, I can't think how long, FAFSA changed its method to prior tax information. What that means, it's not using current tax information, it's using prior, which is 2019. So unless you haven't filed your 2019 for any reason, everyone should have their taxes for 2019 completed. If for any reason you haven't done them or you're not required to do them, and you're under the income threshold, and you don't need to worry about that. But it is working your FAFSA, current FAFSA for 21-22 academic year does require financial information from 2019 tax year, not 2020 with the current one that we're doing.
Awesome. And then what if I applied for CSUSB for fall 2021, but I'm denied? What happens, I guess, to her FAFSA?
What happens if you're denied on what? What was that question?
For fall 2021.
Okay, so what happens if you're denied? I know there's an appeal process. I don't know how that works, but if you're denied and pushed into spring, your FAFSA still stays on file. When you get admitted back in spring of 22, then we'll activate your FAFSA. So we do go through a process of all the applications that have our school code get into our system. We only download those that have been admitted to our university. So because we get thousands and thousands and thousands of FAFSAs, we don't download them all. We just download the ones that are admitted. So if for any odd reason you're not admitted, we don't touch your financial aid. We don't touch any of your money or any of your information until you're actually admitted as a Coyote.
Awesome. And then I had another question.
You're jotting down the questions, huh?
For fall of 2021, the question about classes. So I'm going to be dropping in the chat a link to an article about what's happening for fall 2021. So we are anticipating to be, the majority of our courses will be in person. That is the goal. And that is what CSUSB is planning for. Obviously, this is all depends on where we are with the pandemic, where the situation stands at the moment. But know that as we are moving forward and as we plan for fall, the plan is to be in person for the majority of courses and for the majority of services. There might be a hybrid situation going on, but the plan is to start moving to more in-person services and classes. So that is the goal, but again, it all depends on where we're at the moment.
Everything changes by the minute, so
yes.
Just keep posted, guys.
Yes, so thank you so much, Veronica, for this presentation. Again, everyone, we will have additional sessions, and then any questions that we don't get to, Veronica will be able to either email you or email your response. We'll collect anything that's left, but thank you all for attending this session. There will be a recording of this session posted to our website. So also look out for that. I will link it instead of the registration button. It'll be a button to the recording. So thank you all so much for attending, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Today, there's going to be a College of Social and Behavioral Science session. So if you're part of that college, I'll see you later today. Have a great day, everyone.